years of death-defying matches had bonded two superstars behind the scenes. But a shocking betrayal would shatter their friendship.
I'd heard a guy who's like one of my closest friends had just called my girlfriend saying, "I love you." I freaked the out.
The fallout would forever change both men and brought WWE's most personal backstage conflict in front of the cameras.
You stupid bastard, you lying coward.
And into the ring.
I got to a point where I was like, okay, now I'm pissed.
You're mine! You're mine! Come on, you bastard! Come on! Come on, come on!
It's Matt Hardy versus Edge, next on Rivalries.
There's room for only one man at the top of the mountain.
If only just begun. Big scores to be settled here.
Neither one of these guys will ever be quite the same after this.
One of the most personal rivalries we have ever witnessed.
Boy, when you talk about bad blood, you see boiling right here. This rivalry has just escalated into a war. Jeff, leapfrog the ladder, for God's sake. I've never seen any offense like that.
At the turn of the millennium, the popularity of the WWE Tag Team division was soaring to new heights, thanks to the action-packed rivalry between Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys.
20-foot ladder with a spear on Jeff Hardy.
These were four young guys who decided we're going to have the most exciting match on the show every single night. And that's what they set out to do, and that's what happened.
I've never seen anything like this in my life. They are extraordinary competitors. These guys are giving their all.
They all were hardworking. Their styles just worked perfectly. It was like this amazing synergy. And when you added these elements of danger with, you know, the ladders and the tables and chairs, there was an electricity and the timing was right. They really complemented each other, maybe better than any two teams in the history of WWE.
During an era saturated with talent, brothers Matt and Jeff Hardy were accompanied by Amy Dumont, WWE diva Lita. The three had gained a following as the acrobatic faction Team Extreme. Their matches against Edge and Christian would showcase some of WWE's most exciting high-risk performances and develop a friendship backstage between both teams.
When you go to battle with somebody enough, there is a mutual respect that can turn into a great friendship sometimes too, and that's what happened. Matt and Jeff, Edge and Christian, the things that they put themselves through in those matches, the sacrifices they all made, that created a pretty strong bond between all four of them.
Guys, it was an honor.
As the bond between both tag teams continued to grow, Matt Hardy and Lita's relationship behind the scenes had progressed beyond friendship.
She's my best buddy. We're the best 1-2 punch in the business. That's a pretty good compliment.
Once Lita had joined Team Extreme, we were officially dating, you know, and I think a lot of people know about it that work with the WWE. Some people didn't. We all worked together, and it was, you know, Matt, Jeff, and Lita all the time. You know, we were in a car. We always drove together. I remember one day I woke up and I was like, wow, I'm like so in love with this girl. It's just one of those things that it happened so naturally and it happened so organically that it was great, and you could tell it was real.
Give me that! Wow! Oh my God, what's this?
Lita had a huge impact on us and led to be a great thing with Team Extreme. Was huge, man. You know, she'd go out there and do things that some guys couldn't do. It was a great run, and my brother and her fell in love.
By June of 2001, each team had entertained audiences and achieved their aspirations of sports entertainment success as a dynamic pairing. But all four men were preparing for a transition into the next phase of their careers as singles competitors.
I don't think anyone wanted to see Edge and Christian and the Hardys on their own at that point. That being said, if we didn't do it, you never know if you can succeed and make those strides on your own.
Because we're in full stride as a tag team. And we could have kept going for a little bit longer and stayed in that, but the key was, okay, we got to get out of that and get back into full stride on our own.
By winning King of the Ring, Edge had established himself as a promising solo performer and set the stage for his inevitable split with longtime tag team partner Christian.
It all came to a boiling point actually in our hometown of Toronto, which couldn't have been a better place for it to happen.
Oh, wait, my God! My God!
I finally turned on him, and it was emotional.
Look at the look on Christian's face, for God's sakes!
The night that I walked out of the ring after I turned on him, there was tears in my eyes, and they were legit, real tears because I knew it was kind of the end of Edge and Christian, but, you know, also exciting because it was the start of something new.
Now it was time for a new chapter, new challenges, and to see how far we'd go as singles competitors. And we were kickstarting it against each other.
The best friends' battle over the Intercontinental Championship would mark the beginning of their singles careers and provide Edge with a chance to prove he had the skills to emerge as a breakout superstar.
A lot of those tours and a lot of the shows we did and a lot of the miles we put in were definitely difficult. But succeeding to the level that I wanted to get to in WWE was by far the most difficult part. Because now you're in the elite, and now you got to try and be the elite of the elite.
They're intent on proving to each other who is the better man.
Of course they are. They've been that way for a couple of months now. One of the reasons why Edge stood out amongst the Hardys and Christian is because he had the total package, if you will. Edge wanted that success and was not going to take no for an answer.
Edge and Christian were now on their own as in-ring performers, and their former tag team counterparts also had early success in singles competition. But despite winning the Intercontinental and European Championships respectively, Jeff and Matt Hardy continued to compete in tandem as apprehension surrounded their impending permanent split.
We had done so much, and I know people had high hopes of us as singles individuals.
I felt like it was time for something new because you can only do something, regardless of how good it is, for so long. But this was right around the time WCW had just been acquired by the WWE. And I remember I didn't want to split at that time because I was worried that both Jeff and I would get lost in the shuffle. I thought it would be hard for us to really survive on our own as singles at that juncture.
As the future of the Hardy Boys was in flux, so too was WWE programming. In March of 2002, a shift in the company's creative direction would impact the entire roster, both on camera and behind the scenes.
Tonight, we will witness the first ever World Wrestling Federation draft. Vince McMahon will represent SmackDown. Ric Flair will represent Raw.
In 2002, WWE went through a brand extension. One roster of Raw, one roster of SmackDown. Two totally different rosters.
Vince put WCW out of business and ECW went out of business, and now you have all this talent coming into one place that you got to divide that talent up.
Then I'll take the man who had a huge victory over Booker T at WrestleMania. I'll take Edge.
The company's landscape was changing on television, as was the everyday dynamic of the WWE locker room.
What if Mr. Flair picks you, my little Hellcat, and Mr. McMahon picks you, young Matthew? Then you two wouldn't be seeing as much of each other, would you? And poof, the fairy tale would end. Ta-ta.
You're very comfortable riding with the guys that you ride with, working out with the guys that you work out with. That ended a lot for a lot of people because we were split. But when it comes down to it, the bottom line, this is business. I pick Lita.
Lita! The first last pick! He has selected Lita! Lita, the first female to go in the draft!
Following the brand extension, Lita's performance on Raw would be short-lived, as a neck injury would keep her out of action for over a year.
We were talking about the whole deal and talking about the surgery, and she says, oh my God, you know, I'm gonna have to be out for a year. And I go, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about a year. Don't worry about wrestling. And I'm not worried about anything in the immediate future. I just want her to get fixed up so that 20 years from now we can walk around the zoo and eat popcorn.
Now exclusively on SmackDown, Edge would continue to shine in a brighter spotlight. The hungry superstar would establish himself as one of WWE's top in-ring performers against some of sports entertainment's greatest talents.
It's hard to think of an opponent who he didn't have
great matches with. Whether it was Eddie Guerrero, whether it was Kurt Angle, he was just tearing it down with everybody he met up with.
Edge has built some major momentum.
I mean, it was just a regular thing that Edge was going to have the best match on the card.
The only thing that I put my body and my soul and my blood on the line for every night is to reach that next level here in the WWE.
But while Edge was coming into his own, Matt Hardy had yet to find stability. Relegated to Sunday Night Heat as a single superstar, Hardy was still competing on Raw as his younger brother's partner.
A lot of times with tag teams, there's always that one guy that people think is going to break out and be a bigger star. And I think a lot of people always assume that was going to be Jeff.
Jeff, man, he just flew all over the place.
Look at him! Look at him!
He has a different kind of charisma than Matt. I won't say more, just a different kind.
Excuse me, Matt, Jeff. Excuse me, Jeff, last week on...
Jeff always stood out more than Matt. When Jeff got in the ring and Jeff was doing all his stuff, the fans got up off their feet, excited and everything. I mean, when Matt did it, I mean, the fans loved it too, but Jeff always had that more like a connection with the fans.
Jeff is the flasher guy, and you know, I was the guy that did a lot more of the like solid work. I was kind of the glue that kind of kept everything sticking together in there.
Here it comes! Ooh! The poetry in motion.
Jeff is just such a natural and just so gifted, so much more gifted than I am.
And Jeff, the high fly, the risk taker.
Sometimes the way it was perceived, I think, you know, is that just because Jeff did the cooler moves, that Jeff was the better Hardy.
But by the summer of 2002, Matt Hardy was determined to break out of the High Flyers' charismatic shadow.
I got a coin. Tails, you get the shot at RVD. Jeff, heads, you get it. That's fair. Heads, Jeff, you got it. Rod, have a good match. See you later.
As both Matt and Jeff Hardy were ready to embark on the next phase of their respective careers, frustrations behind the scenes would play out on camera.
Matt is here to help his brother Jeff. And what? What? No way! What the hell's? What is up with Matt Hardy now? What the hell did we just see?
August of 2002, the time was right to actually pull the trigger. It's time to move on and evolve and go to the next stage. I turned on Jeff, and the whole reason why was because I was sick of Jeff getting all the opportunity. I really did want to show people that of the Hardy Boys, I was just as good as Jeff, if not better.
Christening himself Matt Hardy version 1, the former tag team superstar would expand his persona.
Hey guys, hit my music. You wide? Hit my music, I'm gonna do my thing.
To become a unique entity of the SmackDown roster.
Well, since jumping from Raw, Matt Hardy seems like he's got a proof point.
For the first time, Matt Hardy had kind of been on the other side of the fence. As the Hardy Boys, we'd always been, you know, the perennial good guys. Now, it was fun because I was getting to be a bad boy. Man, I took that and ran with it.
Attitude oozing out of Matt Hardy here tonight.
It was a really smart way to kind of stand out and do his own thing, kind of separate what he'd been doing with the Hardy Boys. I loved the Matt facts. I thought they were hilarious and just like completely ridiculous.
You are my Mattitude follower. My first MFer.
When Matt was on SmackDown and Jeff was on Raw, when Matt started doing the V1 thing and the Mattitude, he really started to shine. Then he started to show a side of himself that people hadn't seen before. Comparisons between Matt and Jeff started to go away a little bit.
Matt Hardy was beginning to prosper in early 2003. Meanwhile, a neck injury to Edge would require surgery, and the blossoming superstar would spend over a year away from WWE.
I want to be the first one to wish Edge a speedy recovery. But you know, come to think of it, if Edge would have known his position and would have been a Mattitude follower instead of the so-called leader of the Edge Army, he probably wouldn't have suffered such an unfortunate twist of fate.
With his friend and girlfriend both out of action, Matt Hardy continued to find single success as part of the SmackDown brand throughout 2003. But with Lita nearing a return to WWE, the developing superstar would soon set forth on a different journey.
I was doing my thing and just kept, every day I was chipping away, I was plugging away. And eventually the day came back where Lita was gonna return to the ring from her neck surgery. Lita was gonna end up being on Raw. So to her, it was a very big deal that we were able to travel together. Actually, Lita approached me and she asked what I think about coming to Raw and being on the Raw show so that we could be together. She was my best friend, we worked together, and we were just both crazy in love with each other. I remember at first I was a little hesitant, and I was like, well, you know, I mean, things are really good for me on SmackDown. You know, I like it here, I'm doing well here, and you know, she said, if I'm on Raw and you're on SmackDown, we'll never see each other. You know, so I said, okay, well, cool, whatever you want to do, we'll do.
It's Matt Hardy! Matt Hardy back on Raw! And Lita loves it! Look at that smile! Matt and Lita, they've been a couple for a long time, and I know for many years, King. Yeah, but they've been separated because Matt's been on SmackDown.
Matt Hardy returned to Raw in November of 2003 and was reunited with his longtime girlfriend, both on the road and in front of the cameras.
And Hardy beats the red-hot Garrison Kane. I think maybe Lita bringing Matt some good luck.
In March of 2004, Matt and Lita were joined on Raw by Edge, who returned to WWE in a prominent position.
The spear! That's gotta be it! It is! Edge just won the title! Oh my gosh!
And the new Intercontinental Champion, Edge!
Well, the Edgeheads have made their presence felt here as Edge wins the Intercontinental title for the 5th time.
However, that summer, it was Matt Hardy who was forced out of action due to a knee injury. What transpired during his absence would change the lives and careers of Hardy, Edge, and Lita forever.
I had a torn ACL on my left knee. It had been real bad and it had been bothering me for a while. I had to go away and get it fixed. Lita on the road now that she was by herself. She didn't like traveling along. She didn't get along with the other divas too well. She said, Edge is riding on his own this weekend. She said, you know, and I was going to be riding on my own. She said, is that cool with you if I just hop in with him? And I was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Because I was so close with both him and Christian. You know, I would have trusted him completely.
So Matt was home with an injury. I was on the road. I was traveling by myself. Edge was traveling by himself. We started traveling together a lot.
We'd always been, you know, great friends. You know, she was always my best female friend.
Adam and I were always close, but having these 8-hour conversations, driving, you know, on the road, and really realizing we had a lot more in common other than neck surgery, other than wrestling, other than some surface stuff, that we had a lot in common.
The friendship between Edge and Lita would evolve into a secret romance, but their affair would soon come to light.
There was a week where she was acting really, really odd. I woke up one night and just couldn't sleep, and just there was like a glare, a reflection, and it was of her phone. It was in her purse. I saw it and it caught my attention. I pulled her phone out and listened to her voicemail. And then there was a message from Edge, and the message said, hey, it's me, and you know, this is killing me. I can't go without talking to you. If you're gonna stay with Matt and not be with me, then I'm lost and I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I love you. I just want you to know that I love you. If you can only imagine the way I felt, you know, at that point, hearing that message, because that's all, you know, at this point, that's all I knew. I'd heard a guy who's like one of my closest friends had just called my girlfriend, who I was ready to marry at this juncture, you know, who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, you know, leaving a voicemail saying, I love you. You know, you can beep this or whatever, but I freaked the out, you know, as most any normal guy would. And she was breaking down, crying, trying to explain, and I was throwing stuff. I told her, I said, just get out of my house. Leave, get out of my house. The first thing I did was call Adam, you know, and like leave a voicemail. You know, I was making threats, I was cussing, I was going crazy.
He sent the voicemail to me, so I got to hear it. His reactions were very real. Keep in mind, betrayal never comes from an enemy. betrayal always comes from a friend, and that's what hurts the worst.
When I heard those messages of like him saying that he loves it, it made me sick, man. I think he was a punk for doing what he did, and especially when it involves one of your good, supposedly good friends.
Getting to where it did, my whole idea of it, and I think Amy's idea of it was, wow, we screwed up.
I don't regret that this happened, but I regret how it happened. The manner in which we went about it was completely hurtful and wrong, and all you can do is apologize and grow and learn from it.
Matt Hardy and Lita's relationship was over. After discovering the betrayal, the scorned superstar would vent his frustrations before a worldwide audience.
One of my friends actually was so upset over everything. They actually wrote a blog, and that's when like it got out all over the internet like wildfire. And then once I started being asked about it, I started commenting on it, which looking back at it, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do, but it's what felt right to me at the time.
Matt's whole thing was, you know, him saving face and just telling everybody.
When Matt kind of went public with it, I just don't think he knew how to react. So he reacted in the only way that he thought he could get something out of it and try and turn this negative into a positive.
While Hardy's feelings may have been justified, there would be professional consequences for his public outcry.
I've had many, many different conversations with Matt about leaving his personal stuff at home. I thought some of the stuff he did was a little bit immature. Most of everything he did was from an emotional standpoint. I think Matt was heartbroken.
The office was super supportive, and I feel that's because both Adam and myself had always been super professional at work. I was trying to tell Matt, like, what are you doing? You're making this really horrible for you. It's not gonna end well.
Edge and Lita's relationship was now public knowledge, but the ongoing saga would take another turn when Matt Hardy was released by WWE on April 11th, 2005.
I got a call from John Laurinaitis, and the WWE released me. They fired me. That was pretty heartbreaking. You know, I was just so depressed, and it felt like I'd lost everything. The girl who I thought I was gonna get married to and have a family with, and who I built this house and she helped me. This house, man, it's a nice house, it's gorgeous. It felt like a prison.
Matt was let go. They made a business decision and got rid of him, which on the surface isn't fair, but business isn't fair.
In the weeks following Hardy's release, WWE's audience took sides in what had become sports entertainment's most notorious scandal.
As a fan watching it, you could feel for Matt Hardy, because not only did he basically lose his job, he lost his girl, he lost everything. Everything that he loved was gone because of this one guy who was supposed to be his friend. Like, you can't write stories like that.
I was in an angle with Trish. We were in Madison Square Garden, and entire 14,000 people at Madison Square Garden chanting, "You screwed Matt."
But I want to let you know.
That was like the most surreal moment.
As the buzz surrounding the love affair continued to grow, the opinions of the WWE Universe were echoed by those in the locker room.
Hide your wives, it's Edge! Well, Edge, I have two words for you. Matt freaking Hardy!
Man, this is going to be volatile. And it was. The rest of the locker room found out, and I kind of became a bit of an island unto myself.
Even friends of Edge's didn't talk to him. People were disappointed in him.
The locker room passed judgment. Before I came to the building, I would eat, so I wouldn't have to go to catering. People, maybe they weren't talking about me, but I felt like everyone there was. We were both pretty scarlet lettered and not popular at that time.
It was very uncomfortable backstage. It's uncomfortable for me now to talk about it, and this is years later. And everybody really attacked Amy. She probably got it worse than anybody, because she went from this great athlete to all of a sudden she was hoe and slut and all this kind of stuff. So many fans saying really bad things about her.
The fans were freaking horrible. Like, I didn't want to walk my dog because I felt like someone was going to pop up at the window and be like, "You screwed Matt!" I'm like, yeah, you're right, I did.
Facing a venomous crowd on a nightly basis, Edge and Lita would embrace the negativity. The two joined together as an on-screen couple.
Well, I'll tell you what, in my Oklahoma opinion, these two got a lot of explaining to do.
If it's real, it works. And after a while, you just go, well, cat's out of the bag. Let's run with it. We'll deal with it as we go.
Edge and Lita acknowledged the real-life controversy on camera, and the two immediately thrived as the most hated duo on WWE programming.
I fell in love with a real man.
I thought Edge's chemistry with Lita was just off the chart. If there was such a thing as a missing ingredient to Edge's character, she was it. They were magic.
And you're all jealous because I got this fiery, red-headed sex pot by my side.
Are you a little jealous, JR? Look at, whoa, pathetic.
And I got to a point where I was like, okay, now I'm pissed, because now I have all of these strangers holding up signs saying I'm feces. And you know nothing that went into all of this, and you don't know how I'm beating myself up on the inside. So I thought, all right, fine. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to try and turn it into whatever positive I can. And if the only positive that can come from that is that I am the most despised guy in this industry, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to get to the top.
And he became the most hated guy in the WWE, and he used all that anger that people were portraying to him, and he spun it and put it out there on television.
Edge and Lita started dating, and it was disgusting to watch it, because it was like then they were just making out, sucking face, just rubbing it into everyone like, this is my girl. I took it away from you, and I'm a slime for doing it, and I know I'm a slime, and I don't care.
Edge and Lita were gaining momentum as two of WWE's top antagonists, and the fans' disdain for the couple continued to manifest itself in an outpouring of support for Matt Hardy.
Matt's always been really good at using social media to his advantage, and kind of got a real grassroots upswing. A lot of people behind him, a lot of support of people who thought he was unfairly let go, and people were really kind of hammering on the company's door, bring him back, bring him back, bring him back.
You would definitely see it at live events. When Edge was in the ring, the crowd was chanting for Matt. It's boosted Matt's popularity. I think, you know, Vince saw that. We got something special here. You know, the fans love this guy. Bring him back.
I needed to come back to work. I needed to get back on there because I needed something to take my attention off my personal life, which was in a shambles.
WWE could not ignore the groundswell for Hardy. Negotiations began to bring the troubled superstar back to the company and capitalize on the controversy. With his popularity and burning hatred for Edge both at an all-time high, Matt Hardy's shocking appearance on the July 11th edition of Raw left viewers and superstars alike in the dark as to what had just transpired.
The behind the scenes of the business was starting almost to become as important as the in front, right? And a backstage relationship that wasn't played out on camera, but that everybody knew could be an explosive storyline if done right. So we're not going to tell the guys in the back, because the guys in the back, if they see that it's just a storyline, they go tell their buddies or whatever, yeah, no, it's just a storyline, and then it's all over the internet.
I was very nervous to see him. Like, I didn't know how to react. Everybody was like, what's happening? What are they doing? Are they going to really get into it backstage?
I think there was some worry. You know, if these boys just say to hell with it and then start punching each other in the face, pulling each other's eyeballs out and stuff like that, the locker room was jazzed. You know, we were all excited about it.
Following his backstage attack on Edge, Matt Hardy was not yet finished plotting his revenge.
Look out! Oh, wait! I ended up showing back up and coming through the crowd. Edge and I were in like a brawl. The punches that I threw around here were very, very hard.
Part of me was like, okay, here, get your shots and get some here, and let's move past it, you know, as much as we can.
Adam, you bastard! I'm gonna make your life miserable! And Lita, you whore! I'm gonna make your life miserable too!
Oh, wait, that's not Edge, that's Adam? I mean, we didn't do that before very many times. So when you hit and call somebody by their real name, it's almost like the shock value. Oh, wait, that's not supposed to happen. Or was it supposed to happen?
And the WWE can kiss my ass!
I knew this guy was fired. And then he's showing up on WWE programming and beat the crap out of Edge and scream at him and say, I'll be in Ring of Honor.
Come see me, Ring of Honor! ROH!
It was, whoa, what? I didn't know what they were doing, but it made for some pretty shocking television.
Matt attacks Edge and he's being dragged away in handcuffs and all this stuff is happening. It was very chaotic and really no one knew what to think, and it was one of those moments where we're all just like, okay, what just happened?
Through Hardy's dramatic return on Raw, the WWE Universe received their first on-screen glimpse of the conflict between the former friends. But during a candid interview with Lita on WWE's web series Bite This, tensions would continue to escalate.
Hey, Amy. This is Matt Hardy. The question I'd like to ask you is,
Wait,
you're out here.
Is this Matt Hardy? Do we have confirmation?
Is this Matt Hardy?
This is?
Sounds like Matt to me, and it really shouldn't surprise me at this point.
Fans knew the behind-the-scenes story unfolding now on stage. So it made fans feel a little closer to the story. They felt more involved. WWE very wisely just capitalized on all of that.
How did it feel to see me Monday?
I don't know if it was so much seeing you that I didn't like, but I didn't really like seeing you blindside my boyfriend and attack him. But that was awfully sweet of you.
Well, if you thought that was sweet of me, believe me, your life is only starting to become miserable. And Adam Copeland, your boyfriend, his life is only starting to become miserable.
Wait a minute! Man has jumped the security railing. That's not a fan.
Go back to the Indies, kid. Go back to the Indies, ass.
And my movement will be to get retribution on you and against Adam Copeland and against the WWE. Every Monday and Tuesday, there's a WWE event going on somewhere, so you never know where I'll pop up.
That's great. Are you done with your wrestling promo that you just cut?
On Bite This, Matt started calling her Amy, which is her real name. You could really feel the realness and the hurt that he had for what Edge and Lita did to him.
Why is it you're more in love with Adam Copeland than me? Why did you throw away 6 good years? Why'd you flush that down the drain?
I don't know that I need to tell you about my relationship with...
I think you owe it to me, considering I've given you 6 good years of my life.
The Bite This segment sucked. And that mainly because it was still so really fresh. I know Matt was hurting. I know I did the wrong thing. So if he wanted to vent, so I was like, okay, if this makes you feel like, if you notice, like I barely said anything. Because if I get going, like, it's not gonna be good. And it's not gonna make me feel any better.
So now, because you've done that, I'll get retribution against you, I'll get retribution against Adam, and I'll also get retribution against that company. I will massacre them. I will dismantle them.
Speaking with Amy, I got to the point where like the sadness and depression and just the hurt and like just the pain. It's pretty overwhelming, to say the least.
I think Monday night I came out there and I called him Adam because that's all I know him as. And I didn't even call you Amy because the Amy Dumas I know, that girl, she's dead. She's gone. Lita's all I know. This filthy whore hanging out with Edge, that's all I know now. I don't even know who Amy Dumas is anymore. Amy, on a serious note, why would you do it?
There's obviously something missing there for me to go fall in love with somebody else, Matt.
I think Matt really felt victimized. The story had been all over the internet. This was as real could get.
What was missing?
I don't think I need to share that with the rest of the world, Matt. Even though that's how you seem to be dealing with things, there's still places that I don't want to go, and I don't think I should have to.
Go ahead. Don't be afraid now.
With the controversy surrounding the love triangle, each confrontation between Matt Hardy and Edge created compelling programming for WWE, and all parties would look to capitalize on the burning animosity.
Oh, yeah! Oh, there he is! None other than Vincent K. McMahon, and we know that he has a major announcement for all of us here on Raw.
I think, obviously, looking back, I'd love to get there a different way, but at that point, it was like, okay, we're here now. Now what?
Allow me to introduce you to the man who was recently signed by me to come back to action. This man will see individual competition at SummerSlam against his opponent, Edge. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Matt Hardy. Wow! Oh, Matt Hardy was in Mr. McMahon's limo. A huge ovation for the returning Matt Hardy.
WWE re-signed Matt Hardy, and with a celebrated return to Monday Night Raw, the volatile superstar was focused on reigniting his career and settling the score with his most hated adversary.
Mr. McMahon giving a live mic to Matt Hardy. This should be most interesting. It could be very dangerous.
We're all professionals, and we may have a difference of opinion, but you're there to perform and entertain.
Matt Hardy is back!
And Edge, you ruined my dream of one day having a family. And you came this close to destroying my dream of being a WWE superstar, something that I had worked my entire life for.
You're a professional, so you go do your job in the ring. And can it get a little bit out of hand sometimes? It could. But we several differences out of the ring.
So when we step into the ring at SummerSlam, it's either kill or be killed, Adam. And Matt Hardy will not die.
Wow. Very emotional, very strong remarks from the returning Matt Hardy.
Bottom line is, the WWE Universe wanted to see that. They cared about Matt and Lita. They cared about the breakup. They cared and thought, did Edge steal Lita away? They want to see Matt get his revenge. They want to see Edge get his butt kicked and Lita pay the due for what happened.
With a match set for SummerSlam, both Edge and Matt Hardy would need to work together in order to continue their climb towards a main event spotlight. However, so much bad blood existed between the two opponents. The question remained whether or not Edge and Matt Hardy could coexist in the WWE locker room.
Oh my God! The count! I'll be damned! I can't believe it! He hit the... Was that a person who twist of fate? Whoa! Hey, wait! What the... Whoa! Oh, look! Edge! Welcome back to the WWE, Matt!
There was a lot of aggression and animosity when Matt came back.
This will not be a wrestling match at SummerSlam.
It's hard to get over the fact you believe that you've been made a public embarrassment by someone that you loved in Lita and by someone that you perceived as one of your best friends in the entire business, an Edge.
Wait a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait a minute. Oh, no. Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy getting Edge.
You have this guy who at one point was like one of my best friends, and then you also have this guy who like was my worst enemy because he caused so much hurt and so much pain to me.
You are dead!
And it was a really weird dynamic.
You're mine! You're mine! Come on, you bastard! Come on! Come on! Come on!
From Matt's perspective, he was mad about what had happened to him. And from Edge's perspective, I'm sure he was mad that his dirty laundry was aired out for everybody to see on television and on the internet.
Our lives have been thrown out there for everyone to comment on. A bunch of little geeks behind a keyboard who've never even had a relationship commenting on what we're doing with our lives. Well, you know what? I think the whole situation, I think it sucks. As a matter of fact, I'll go one better. I think the whole situation is
And I think it just was inevitable that rivalry was going to happen, and it was going to be big.
Embracing the reality of their situation, the backstage drama between Matt Hardy and Edge intensified in the weeks that followed.
Each week it kept getting more and more tense. We did an interview on Bite This where Edge and Lita were in one room and I was in one room, and I remember we were saying stuff back and forth to each other.
The last thing you want is Matt Hardy around. And you know that. You know that. You so know that deep down.
I look worried.
Yeah. Oh, you are worried.
You see, Matt,
you put on a
when
tough
it comes
front,
to you and
but
I, when
know.
it comes to you and I, verbally, mentally, physically, you're inferior.
The mudslinging got real bad. The comments were real personal.
What about when you were out hurt with your broke neck as we were friends, and I called you every week, Adam, are you okay, dude? If there's anything I can do,
Yeah,
please
like
let me
I
know.
said, definitely.
And week
Out
in
of
and week
this, I
out.
made
No, but when I was
mistakes.
out hurt, you stupid bastard, you lying coward, what did you do? You did everything you could do to get inside my girl's head and inside her pants.
Yeah,
really, thanks for repaying me so well.
I waited for
What a
you
great
to leave,
friend.
Matt. No,
What a class
you couldn't
act.
supply
You're
what
a
a
class
real
act.
man
You're a
needs
piece of
to
trash.
supply. You can't do it.
You're a scumbag,
You're a little
Adam.
boy, plain and
Face it.
simple.
If we would have been in the same room at that time, we'd been in a fight.
SummerSlam, it's time to nut up or finally shut the up.
Oh, and they're walking off.
The story had taken on a life of its own. But I think that the anticipation for Matt Hardy's confrontation with Edge was just tremendous.
After nearly 6 months of anguish, Matt Hardy had an opportunity for retribution at SummerSlam.
Well, folks, this is going to be a slobber knocker, no doubt about it. And by God, I would not want to be the referee assigned for this matchup.
I was in developmental, and I remember seeing Matt out and going, dude, what are you gonna do, man? This is pretty intense. And he goes, honestly, I'm gonna kill him.
Well, here he comes. He can't wait. And there they go. And neither can Edge, and here they go. Well, the referee's going to have to get these two guys in the ring if he possibly can. We're officially underway here. We have yet to see a wrestling hold. Hardy with that rear naked choke, trying to choke out Edge here. Look at Edge's face, turning a bright crimson.
You saw the punches, you saw the kicks. You could feel the energy that they were giving.
Oh my God, right through the rope. A spear through the rope, both men through the ropes and down.
There was a certain hardcore passion that they wanted to really hurt one another.
Oh my God! Hardy's face! His face hit the ring post! Matt Hardy's head struck the ring post. And now Edge with a decided advantage. I'm not so sure. I'm certainly not a doctor, but Matt Hardy may be concussed.
Both superstars held nothing back as their aggression gave way to a heated battle.
Matt Hardy showing no signs of retreat.
But their brutality would bring the match to a premature end.
What is this? Did the referee deadpan just stop this match?
I remember, this doesn't feel right. It feels like that we should have a hell of a fight, but not a 4-minute fight where he can't continue.
Obviously, Matt Hardy could not defend himself, and instead of risking permanent injury to Matt Hardy, the referee has stopped this match.
It just felt like that wasn't the best start, and we both agreed on that.
It didn't live up to my expectations of how I would have liked to have seen the match go. Regardless, I was going to go do it and get through it and get on to bigger and better things.
In the wake of Edge's decisive victory, Matt Hardy continued to gain the support of the WWE Universe. But as fan interest grew, so too did backstage tension, as both superstars were tested in the face of the escalating rivalry.
There's a lot of tension, without a doubt.
Now that is a vulture-like assault here.
And I think that translated over in the ring with the physicality of the matches. I mean, we were fighting. But at the same time, there was still professional parameters there that we didn't go outside. We didn't break that box. We, you know, made it stretch a little bit sometimes.
No! Oh, God, on that head was between the two steps in the ring. That's too much.
We're both working toward the same goal. And I also knew that if given the chance, we'd have amazing matches. When we had a street fight in Tampa, it was back to that same kind of dynamic that we always had.
These men cannot be disqualified. They cannot be counted out. Anything they want to do, they choose to do, wherever it is legal.
The street fight, which was a hell of a match. We just fought all over the building.
They're dangerously close to the edge here. They're going to try to knock him off that... Look out! Oh, my God! Oh, my God! Oh, my God, Edge and Hardy off the stage, through the table, to the concrete, and they're surrounded by these electrical wires. Oh, my God. Shut the power off, they're saying. Shut the power off, damn it. I need some help.
We went through 2 tables, and all this electrical stuff sparked, and they both carted us out in stretchers.
Get him to the ambulance, guys.
If you consider the past matches, you can't just go and win with a small package. You know, it ain't gonna be a spear, it's not gonna be a twist of fate, it needs to be something insane. They built themselves into a position with those type of matches in their career that you know something spectacular almost has to happen.
Since you two can't stand the ground each other walks on, and since I can't trust you in an arena around the fans, you sign that contract, you've got your rematch with Edge at Unforgiven inside of a steel cage.
Now it's time to go out and once again have the mentality to try and tear down the house. It was an opportunity for both of us to really step up to the plate, show what we could do on our own, away from tag teams, away from Christian, away from Jeff, make our own mark in the industry.
Through their series of physical clashes, the pair's disdain for one another had given way to a mutual cooperation. And even as Matt Hardy still searched for his revenge, his chemistry with Edge that had entertained audiences as tag team opponents once again shone through at the Unforgiven pay-per-view.
Sometimes when two guys really dislike each other, there's a tentativeness in the ring, but they were able to go full tilt.
Right hands, big rights. The bombs are going early here.
Have great matches, and it was cutting edge stuff.
Edge and I always had great chemistry in the ring. That, again, is one of my favorite matches. And it's weird that the guy in it wasn't one of my favorite people at the time, but it was one of my favorite matches, especially because it ended in such dramatic fashion.
Hardy's going to escape. He's going to get out. Hardy's going to get out. Oh, my God. No, he's not going to escape. My God, Matt, don't do this. Please, don't do this. Get out. Don't escape. Win the damn match. Get out of the ring. Don't do it. Matt, don't do it. Don't do it. Think of your family, Matt. Think of your fans. Think of everybody. You got me kicked out now. Oh, my God. Good God. God almighty. The arm over. Hardy wins. Matt Hardy wins.
I dropped the leg and pinned him in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, and it was a great moment for Matt Hardy and like all the Matt Hardy supporters at that time.
Matt Hardy overcame Edge to win the steel cage match at Unforgiven.
Even with all of that animosity, still, that's one of the few people that I would look up and see coming down on me and feel comfortable with that.
Matt Hardy and Edge had been enemies both in and out of the ring for several months. And following his win at Unforgiven, Hardy had finally achieved vengeance for both he and his loyal fan base. In the weeks that followed, the rivalry between the two superstars would culminate with one last showdown, fittingly in a familiar setting.
1 week, Matt. 7 days. For the guy who doesn't grab that briefcase, he loses his lifeblood, his very reason for being. He loses his career. No more bitching and moaning and whining and complaining on the internet. No. Next week, loser leaves Raw.
I had this series of matches, you know, with Edge, and the very final match was the loser leave town ladder match.
It's so personal. The stakes are so high. The loser of this match will leave Raw. Oh, look at this. Gonna be like a vice here.
To finish the rivalry with a ladder match was very apropos. It's almost like coming full circle. They became famous because of the ladder match.
Oh, look at this now. Matt Hardy, how innovative is this? How innovative is right. What a way to oh, look at this. It's squeezing.
So for that to be their final in-ring performance together was a bit poetic. You know, I think that was definitely the way to go.
And isn't it amazing that after everything that has gone on, it all comes down to tonight between these two?
And look at Matt Hardy scoring those right hands, looking for the temple.
Oh! Look at this! Look at that! Oh! Crash and burn! Are you kidding me?
Oh, God! It's a human demolition derby! Gosh almighty! A man's spine rammed right into that ladder. You talk about two men putting it on the line. Matt Hardy, my God! Toss the bait! Toss the bait!
That was a 10-foot high twist of fate! Look at this!
Matt Hardy hung up on that top rope.
So close! Matt Hardy was so
close! Oh my God,
close.
this is it! This could be it right here. Hardy's been tied up in the ropes.
Look at this!
I can't believe this! One must be going through the tormented mind of Matt Hardy. All they can do is watch this. This is not fair.
It's not fair, but it is beautiful.
And Edge has won it. And thanks to Lita and Edge, Matt Hardy is leaving Raw.
It was very fitting that the rivalry culminated in a ladder match. Obviously, it's something that both guys were famous for. It was kind of weird how it all came full circle and ended with that from where we began, making each other into superstars to, for one guy, having to swallow his pride and leave Raw.
A standing ovation for Matt Hardy, who is the newest member of SmackDown.
So see, if I would have kept my ass on SmackDown the first time and never came over there for Amy, it would have all been okay, and see, things would have worked out right. But hey, this would have been a boring-ass rivalry if I didn't have all this drama.
Following their bitter on-screen battles, Matt Hardy and Edge would go their separate ways and eventually make amends. While both men had possessed the tools necessary to shine in the main event spotlight, it was their rivalry between one another that had given each superstar a vehicle to redefine their career and gain even greater levels of sports entertainment success.
The cover! We've got a new United States champion! The first major singles victory in Matt Hardy's career!
Matt Hardy needed a singles rivalry big time because the audience was accepting him. But there was always that little something missing. This was the chance for Matt to define his own legacy.
Edge wasn't considered the main event. He wasn't considered a top-tier talent, but this rivalry catapulted him into superstar main event status.
Edge has reached the top of the mountain and is the new WWE champion.
He drove both of them up to the top of the card and gave them so much more hunger and so much more fire. There was so much passion behind them because it was so real and it was so raw.
Man, don't do this.
We saw this guy last week take some crazy jump.
Hardy with a crossbody.
I mean, honestly, without the storyline, you had two guys who were definitely innovators, but you throw that storyline in the mix, you throw Lita in there, and it just adds a whole nother level of just intensity. They definitely needed each other at that point, and they obviously both benefited from it.
Hardy trying to hold on.
The Matt and Edge matches were great. With Edge and Lita in that corner, it's real easy for pride you know, to get in the way of things like that. We had to do it and get through it and then go on to be great.
I think the only way you get past this, you know, real personal, real life situation is just to attack it head on, and that's what they did. They say things happen for a reason, and sometimes we don't know what that is, but, you know, I know all three individuals, you know, personally, and all three are in much better places now than they were before it even happened to begin with.
It's this rivalry that, you know, I think you can look back and say, okay, it completely took a perceived negative and turned it into a positive. There was personal growth, definite career growth.